r/askReddit. What is a filthy business tactic you know that everyone should be aware of? Collecting debt of a dead person. If a loved one dies and they owe money on something, you will receive a call within a day or two of them passing. They will try to get you to agree to pay for their debt by any means possible, usually a guilt trip. I'm sure he would have wanted his good name preserved, etc. They will try to get you to make any payment at all. $1, $5, whatever. If you pay any amount, you become fully responsible for the debt and they will transfer the loan to you. The legality of this tactic and the debt transfer probably depends on the state. You are under no obligation to pay the debts of a deceased loved one, so be careful. If they had an estate, the debtors need to go through the correct legal processes to file a claim against the estate, not you. If there's no estate, the debtors are out of luck and they know it. The people attempting to collect on these are scumbags and will first try to trick, guilt, or shame you into paying something. If that doesn't work, they will try to insinuate you will have legal problems if you don't play along. This is especially terrible as if you were close to this person, you're grieving and vulnerable and they act as if they are trying to help you in a rough time when they're actually trying to screw you. My mom died when I was 19. I was the executor for her will and power of attorney. Looking back, probably not the best move as I knew nothing about what this required, but my mom didn't have anyone else. Anyways, she died and every asshole came out of the woodwork. She had owned a small piece of property that she sold and apparently, the new owners defaulted after a few months. Property management came after me. A car she owned had been repo-ed about a year before her death and that company came after me. Bills I'm pretty sure she had never had before started hounding me. I was grieving and trying to figure out how I was going to pay all of this, having just quit 2 jobs to take care of my mom in her final days. I essentially had a breakdown and sobbed to my mom's old boss about what was happening. She almost threw her computer across the room when I was done. Her husband was a lawyer and she knew this was wrong. She went mama bear mode and within days, her husband had sent letters to every fricker that was coming at me. Never heard another peep. Fricking scumbags. Worst time in my life. So who's making these calls to people? Banks? Lawyers? I'm not sure for everyone's case, but in my mom's, it was property management, a car dealership, not sure who in the hierarchy. Random people claiming to be with such and such companies suddenly claiming unpaid dues and fees. That's when I started getting suspicious cause my mom was broke as a joke and would never have signed up for anything like that. Pretty sure these people read the obituary sections, find phone numbers and start preying on whoever answers the phone. A booty was killed in a construction accident. He had taken out one of those title loans and apparently used my name as a personal reference. A few weeks later I got a phone call from my dead friend, obviously tripping me out a bit. I buried my mom from cancer the same week he died, so I was a little rough around the edges. Anyway, some asshole on the other end of the line trying to tell me I'm responsible for paying the bill. I told him to not bother me again. Of course he did then try to tell me it was my responsibility to send in proof of death. Fortunately, after making a call to his boss, the call stopped. What a piece of shit. They worked for a condo cop-op property management company for over 10 years. This absolutely doesn't sound right. You have no obligation to the payments after you sell the property, even if they default, etc. It's on the buyer. Learned that the hard way. I guess what happened was my mom sold the property to a couple she knew and thought it was all taken care of. They defaulted a few months later, but I didn't learn about that until the property management called a few days after she died. I told them she had passed and that's when they told me I owed them almost a year's worth of lot fees, unpaid utilities, cleanup. Whatever that meant. We had previously lived there and management never cleaned anything. Spoke to the lawyer and he drafted something where they swallowed those costs, paid me a small sum and they completely owned that property. Details are a bit fuzzy. Part of the reason we didn't live there anymore was because management was shady as frick. They always claimed you were late on payments, they hadn't received it, even though payment went through, etc. Definitely shady. My company has absolutely no stake in ownership of the properties we manage, so we would gain nothing from being shady. All fees, late charge, etc. go to the building's funds. The way it should be to avoid shadiness. This happened when my son's mother died. They went after him and I relentlessly. Student loans, hospital bills, anything they could find. We weren't married and he was too. They had no ground. A couple of them threatened me if I didn't provide proof of death. Like, frick you, pal. You want proof? Go get it. I'll take, not my problem, for 1,000. Good for you on not falling into this trap. Same thing happened when my parents died. Let them try to get the money if they can. F them. By the way, I'll take, not my problem, for 1,000 is awesome. They went after a 2 years old? WTF. They certainly tried. I even received a few bills with his name on them saying his mom. This is actually really good to know. I don't remember anyone teaching me this, but I was always under the impression that when you died all of your debts went to next of kin. This is a pretty common belief, but unless you were co-signed on the debt, it isn't your responsibility. There are certain cases where you may want to assume a debt of the deceased. If you inherit a home that is still under mortgage, you can assume the mortgage and continue to pay it. If not, it will eventually revert back to the bank. I don't get why this is a common belief. Why would you be held responsible for someone else's debt if you never had any part of it? What I want to know is, where do they find people to be this rude and shitty to people on the phone? It's not like they're making a ton of money, so being a dick is kind of worth it. A few years ago, I kept getting calls for someone named Marie Richmond. I am not Marie Richmond. One time the collector started making screaming and choking sounds when I once again told him that he had the wrong number. What the frick? When my dad died, I went through the process of calling up the credit cards, etc. He had substantially more debt than any of us were aware of. When I called American Express, the lady I spoke to was very sympathetic and said, "Listen, no matter what anyone tells you, you are not responsible for his debt. Do you understand? Don't let anyone tell you you have to pay. Legally, you don't." I've always been so grateful to her for that. I'm a lawyer. In my opinion, what you described here, they will try to get you to make any payment at all. $1, $5, whatever. If you pay any amount, you become fully responsible for the debt and they will transfer the loan to you. Is shockingly wrong. At least where I practice, such rope-a-dope practices are illegal for being contrary to public policy. What's more, any codification of such practices would only hurt creditors, as fewer people would make goodwill payments on behalf of a debtor for fear of being made liable for the debt they're paying. Most importantly, there's no contractual or other legal basis for transferring, sharing liability for a debt based merely on one third-party payment toward a debt. You're simply wrong. I'm a paralegal to an estate, probate lawyer, and I work all the time with companies who are owed money by people who are now deceased. They all know how the law works, and they become much nicer and more cooperative the instant they realize that you know how it works too. They're 100% powerless in the situation because they legally can't come after anyone directly except the person who held the debt in the first place. With that said, if you're attempting to handle an estate and you're having these people come after you, please contact a lawyer. There are tons of lawyers who do estates and nothing but estates, and they're the ones who will help you cover your butt in these situations, and many of them will do at least an initial consultation to help you figure out to what extent you need their services for free. TLDR: handling someone's estate involves complex legal issues and you should never trust someone who wants money to tell you what they are. Online sign-up, offline cancellation. Companies that let you sign up online but require you to talk to someone to remove your account. Uber does this, and so do a lot of other companies. SiriusXM does this so they can try and persuade you to stay. Had to tell the guy 5 times to cancel and that I didn't want a special rate. And then they will call you. Oh dear Lord, how they will call you. They call you during work hours, lunch hours, dinner time, when you're putting your toddler to bed, etc. They call every day despite you repeatedly telling them you aren't interested. They call from different numbers and have different people on the phone. Seriously, SiriusXM is a harassment firm that runs a streaming radio service on the side. Finally, one day, I had enough. My kid was upset about something, but I had to answer my phone because I was expecting an important call. It was some fricker from SiriusXM. I started screaming at him and berating the little shit for calling again and told him that if I heard from them again I would be reporting them to the FCC and my state attorney general. They called the next day. I filed a complaint with the FCC, never did get around to the ag request, and never heard from them again. I still get junk mail from them weekly, though. The sad thing is, I loved SiriusXM's programming. They played a lot of music I liked, and at times I miss Alt Nation, The Verge, the OTR station, etc., but I just no longer had the long commute and couldn't justify the cost. Now I will never, ever be a customer unless they give me a lifetime subscription for free or something like that. If they call, definitely ask them to put you on their do not call, mail, text lists. They will need you to give the info to verify, for legal reasons, and then read some legal verbiage, but after that's done they shouldn't call again unless it's something actually important like an overdue balance. Also, you can be a subscriber and make these requests as well. Source: I used to work for them. Stamps.com does this. Easy web sign up. Canceling? First you have to find the page with the right information, which I only found through a Google search because the link doesn't seem to exist on their website. Then to actually cancel, you have to call in. This internet company has literally no way to cancel their service except through a telephone number that is next to impossible to find. I almost signed up Stamps.com until I noticed their ridiculously high monthly fee, in addition to actually paying for postage. Set off a red flag, so I didn't even bother signing up for the free trial. NatureBox did this to me a year ago. It's so easy to sign up, but the account requires you to plead with an employee over the phone to leave. They will aggressively threaten to send you more fried sugar snap peas. That's a new level of cruel. Winc.com does the same shit. The Economist was similar, but they don't give you a hard time about it and you get to talk to someone with an English accent. I signed up to be a cyclist with Deliveroo about a year ago. They made me pay £250 out of my paycheck for required equipment, and I eventually decided to quit after I was attacked on my bike. Despite me reporting it, they docked my delivery fee because I got the food there late, and they never called me up to check if I'm okay. I sent them an email asking to quit and was redirected to a driver support phone number. If you manage to talk to someone and ask to quit, they connect you to the correct line. It sends you back to the press hash for _____ automated system. I've been trying to quit for months now, but they still send me texts and emails about signing a contract that would let them pay me less if I did go back to work, and that I had missed shifts. You'd think that after 6 months they'd get the hint. Deliveroo is super shady. Just went through this with Spectrum yesterday. Signed up easily, but I'd miscalculated my budget and couldn't actually afford internet. Nothing about cancellation in sight on the website, just options to upgrade the service. Finally found a chat bot and mentioned cancellation, and was presented with a phone number I had to call to cancel. Luckily it was early enough in the process that they didn't have my payment details, and they didn't press further than asking why, and I left it at my financial situation changed. I swear to God if a modem shows up at my apartment next week though. Just had this happen with my Progressive policy. I canceled my insurance because I sold my car and I am moving out of the country. Their website kept redirecting me to phone numbers. So I call, and after a long wait I get this rude guy who tries to convince me I still need coverage because if I drive someone else's car or get hit by one blah blah blah. I correct him and push to just terminate my relationship with their company, and he gets snappy and says that at my age a lapse in coverage would be costly, and that I should keep them until I buy a new car. I was shocked to hear someone be so abrasive and forceful. I am annoyed and tell him no, cancel my policy right now, and he tells me I have to have insurance at all times under Colorado law. I don't own any other cars, and while I am not an attorney yet I do work in a law office. I let him know the call was being recorded, that he's a lying sack of worthless flesh, and that if he doesn't cancel my policy immediately I will press charges. This is 25 minutes later between the wait time and the actual conversation. He canceled my policy and I was never happier to get off of a phone call. Never-ending liquidation sales. When a furniture company has a liquidation sale due to going out of business, it isn't really going out of business. We have a rug store nearby that's been going out of business for 4 years now. I think in Don't Mess with the Zohan, the electronics business is actually named Going Out of Business so they can push sales. It's good for business. A furniture store near me has signs that say, Going Out for Business. They got them after the city got all over them for having a going out of business sign up for 2 years. Lol. I've seen signs in furniture stores that say something like, our prices are so low it's practically a going out of business sale. Haha, there's a chain here which has this slogan on all their buildings as this. Australia's cheapest chemist. My dad told me about a furniture store he walked past every day while going to college. It was running a going out of business sale for his entire undergraduate career. I visited his alma mater decades later for a conference, and that going out of business sale is still running. There's a local jewelry store that's gone out of business and the owner retired, so they're having a 50 to 80% off sale. They've been doing this for years. Yes, the owner retires, Sneaky Jewelry Store, but then sells it to another company and is the owner of Sneaky Breaky Jewelry Store, which later repeats and becomes Cheeky Breaky Jewelry Store. There's a lamp store in Melbourne that's had a sale on for at least 12 years. At one point, the sale sign was literally falling to pieces. Took about 2 years for them to replace it. The new one is looking a bit dodgy now too. There used to be a store near me that had a sign that said, "Going out for business." They went out of business. Sadly, a really nice independent furniture store near us did this, but they were going out of business. Retired and closed up shop, leaving us with just Leon's and Yusk. We have a mattress store that goes out of business, and then is immediately replaced by a new mattress store at least once a year. I'm pretty sure it's all the same store, just with a different name. There was a furniture place near me that had a grand opening sale for the first 2 years I lived here, and then switched from that to a going out of business sale for the past 2 years. I once had the good fortune to find a legit going out of business sale for a chain that went under. They'd already closed their other stores and it was liquidators conducting the sale rather than employees. They had a nice solid wood living room set for $175. I looked at it for a couple minutes with my head cocked to the side, a little unsure if it was a good enough deal yet. Someone came over and offered it for $125, and 15 years later, it's still one of my proudest purchases. This fee is for our convenience. Service fees and convenience fees on tickets. If you look into what those things are paying for, a lot of it doesn't make any sense, like facility fees or promotion fees. Which implies that people who buy their tickets in person don't need to pay for the use of the venue or advertising, while people who buy online do. Convenience fee, when I'm printing out the damn ticket at home. How about you knock off 50 cents for the ink and paper ticket fly, you motherfrickers? One time I was about to buy tickets to a concert and saw there was a fee to print my own tickets. I was literally going to be charged $3 for using my own printer, my own ink, and my own paper. I didn't buy those tickets. I go to shows less than I'd like because even if the band I want to see is worth the $20, I don't always feel like they're worth the extra $7 charge. It's funny because as a kid I thought I'd go to so many concerts, but now that I'm older I literally never go since I can't afford them because of the unnecessary fees. LMAO. In the UK, it was made illegal in January of this year for online services to add card charges. As in charging a customer extra for using a debit or credit card rather than cash. It wasn't a huge charge, but it was still kinda annoying. There was food delivery company called Just Eat who were notorious for this. So after the card charge was made illegal, they dropped it and simply renamed it a service charge. Literally just changed the name of the charge so it would be in line with the law. So shady. To be fair, a card charge does actually make sense to a certain extent. For instance, if I'm selling you something for $20 and you pay in cash, I get to keep the whole thing. Whereas if you pay using a card, a small percentage of that payment goes to the credit, debit card company. That's how Visa and MasterCard make money. It's starting to get even worse. Co-workers and I walked over to a local venue one day to grab tickets for a show we want to go to, and to avoid service fees, the guy at the venue searched for about 20 minutes to find the event and apparently found out the venue wasn't selling physical tickets for the show. We were forced to buy them online and still had to pay a service fee for will call. I don't know if he was lying to us or not. He seemed genuine and we were the only ones there since it was the middle of the day and only the box office was open. But yeah, always try and buy physical tickets whenever possible. That's terrible. I would be pissed. Physical tickets would be great, but most shows I go to I have to drive an hour or two, so getting tickets in person isn't usually an option. Don't worry about the actual contract. Telling someone not to worry about the language in a contract, because we never enforce it, or our company policy will protect you from that. All that matters is what's on that paper you sign. I had one case where the contract didn't match up with the verbal agreement we had. Somehow a $10 a month maintenance fee got added in. They were annoyed as hell I took the time to read the contract before signing it, then shocked when I discovered the line and said I wouldn't sign. Conveniently, they generated a new contract without that immediately, and were more surprised when I left and didn't do business with them. Great, then you won't mind if I don't sign it. This actually happened to my wife. She had been burned by a non-compete agreement by a company she grew to loathe. The non-compete basically gave a geographical radius where she could not work for 2 years. Ended up just taking a year off, and then hired on with a company who had 3 locations, one of which is just outside the radius. Worked exclusively from that location for a year but now manages all 3. When she was hired with this current company, they have her a similar non-compete, and told her not to worry BC they don't enforce it. She said she'd have to think about that. Ended up never signing it, or the contract. That was 4 years ago. We were both a little perplexed, but here we are. I had this exact thing happen to me. New employer said I have to sign the contract or I won't get the work, freelance, independent contractor, and I said no, find someone else. They hired me and I didn't have to join their little internal union group that literally did nothing. The contract stated that the first year dues of that union would not be taken out of my pay until the 3rd month of employment. They still hired me and I worked for them for 3 years. My current employer's contract is actually self-contradictory, at will employment for both parties, but you need to provide 2-week notice. I have written confirmation that 2 weeks isn't needed. I almost hope I have to use it. Can't stop my gym membership. Gyms that deliberately don't process your membership cancellation requests so they can keep charging your credit card every month. And if you cancel your direct debit with them, they'll claim that you owe them the money for that month and send a collection agency after you. I had to go through the following to cancel mine. Go online to fill out the cancellation form. JK, not offered for my location. Call X number. On hold forever, 3 times, left voicemail. Was told I had to send certified mail to request cancellation. Told I needed to call them after they got the mail to confirm receipt. They didn't have my cancellation, even though I had evidence of delivery in my hands. They cancel my membership once I give them the tracking number that I paid $8 for. Told that January is the last payment they would take, and to call again after January payment taken to verify I'm canceled. Told to verify that I did not get a payment taken out for February, and to call back if needed. Thankfully, 9 was the last step. Cancellations are horrific and the sales staff is always so pushy. Edit. Glad to hear not everyone has had terrible experiences, but it sounds like almost every gym behaves this way with people. I've enjoyed reading all of the comments below. Edit 2. I've determined that the first gym that starts to offer you deals, like phone providers do now, to break up with your old gym and actually help you cancel, transfer would probably be very well received. It's tied to a credit card, right? Call your credit card and explain to them that you've canceled the service, but the company is refusing to honor your cancellation. Tell your credit card to refuse further charges from that vendor. If they charge it anyways, dispute the charge as an unauthorized charge. If the credit card company gives you any trouble, explain to them that you'll report them to the CFPB if they don't remove those charges. It's a lot easier and cheaper than doing that shit they made you go through. Dude, yes, I had autopay set up for a recurring shipment last year, and it turns out there is no cancel membership for the product in question. I wrote to their customer service email and expressly stated, I request to cancel my membership effective immediately. I do not plan to make further purchases from your company. I have made attempts on date, etc., to contact your representatives and have not been successful, and then immediately called my credit card company and informed them of what was up and to not process any further payments. They told me that they considered my email to be doing my due diligence to reach the company and cancel the membership, and that it would hold up if I had to dispute anything in the future. Generally speaking, they'll have your back if they don't. There's plenty of sweet signing offers for their competition's cards instead. Planet Fitness? They tried to do that to me. I just put in a stop payment to them. Fitness Connection for me. The $10 a month was a big draw, but it went downhill from there. Everything outside of the well-stocked facility was mediocre at best and underhanded at worst. As an aside, the trainer guy that I spoke with kept asking me what celebrity body I wanted to have. I'm like, idgaff, I just need to get back in the gym and trim down for general health and fitness. The more I think about it, the more gross it seems to me. GF had this issue with LA Fit. She's gone in person to a few different branches and they all tell her that she has to mail some shit out. Okay, she made it through that bullshit obstacle and they told her that the manager was her point of contact, but, lo and behold, they always seem to be on vacation at every location. The business model of sign as many people up as possible, gym space be damned, is the reason I started going to a local gym instead of the LA Fit right across the street from my work. It's slimy and shitty. They offer so many barriers to try and close your subscription. I joined an LA Fitness this week, and on the very first day I went to work out, someone broke into my locker and stole my credit cards. They went on a shopping spree at Target while I was still at the gym. No one working at the gym seemed surprised by this, and I wanted to end my membership. I had to call and speak with the operations manager. Almost every employee there is a manager of some sort to cancel. I finally got him on the phone and he said given the circumstance, he will cancel my membership. Either way, the facility and company are grimy, but it was cheap and close to work. Please stay away from them. Planet Fitness requires you send a certified paper form or deliver in person so that if you move and forget to cancel, it's super inconvenient to do so. Never before has a $10 per month charge caused me so much strife. You can change your membership to a different Planet Fitness for free online, one closer to you once you move, then cancel in person. I did it in person and it took 5 minutes, really easy. I was a little surprised at how easy. A girl I'm mates with joined the same gym as me, then a week later just changed her mind. They said she was in a contract and they were legally entitled to take the 12 monthly payments. So she wrote to head office making up a story about a man in the steam room making rude comments to her and how it has affected her self-esteem and how she just wants to leave the gym. They canceled the contract, but added in their response that they had a suspicion who that man was and that he would be spoken to. The following week there were signs all around the pool area warning people about inappropriate comments. Win-win, I guess. My husband used to work for a small family business. They announced a wellness program that gave each person $50 per month towards something wellness related. We took that $50 and joined a gym with a 12-month contract. 3 months later, they said they were no longer doing the wellness program. We were stuck in that contract we didn't think we would have to pay for the remaining 9 months. It really sucked. We wrote letters, called people, talked to people in the office there, but there was nothing anyone could do. A while ago I was in a bad car crash and asked to suspend my membership for a few months because with several broken bones I could barely get off the couch. They told me I had to come down in person. I got a friend to drive me down there and help me to the gym's office where I sat with my leg and arm in plaster, and several bruises on my face only for them to say they needed to see an appointment card from the fracture clinic. Eventually they believed that I might have broken some bones and agreed to suspend it. Few months later I went back to reinstate it and had to pay an upfront amount for the remainder of that month or wait until the beginning of next month when the direct debit restarted. I paid and they let me in, but the next day my card wouldn't work and I was sent back to the office where they told me I had to pay for the remainder of the month. I explained that I did that just yesterday and they would not believe me. Eventually the girl working there leaned over the desk and said, "Listen, if you had paid yesterday then I would be seeing that payment on the screen. I'm not seeing any payment on the screen, so you have not paid." Then I remembered I put the receipt in my gym bag yesterday and showed that to her. Oh right, must be a glitch on my computer. Is it really a sale? Before a sale the business will raise the price significantly so it can have massive sales that really are a bit crap. If you're unsure if it's a good sale price, you can always check https://camelcamelcamel.com/ for the price history. Yes, that website is really useful to show you the true price of Amazon products and also find actual deals. Another way is just to write new tags with a small price that never existed crossed off in the corner in the sale price in large numerals in the center. In the UK that is legit illegal. They just have the item at full price for a month and then drop it to the sale price the other 11. Source. Routinely saw brand new stock be discounted like clockwork a month after we received it, to the point where I would point out to a customer umming and erring about something new to wait about a week or so and I could almost guarantee it would be discounted by then. I remember when working at Debenhams we had to explicitly state the exact dates that an item was at normal price on a tag next to the sale price. This was exactly to prove the item wasn't at a normal price for just a month before discounting. For example, sale items would have a tag next to them that said among the lines of between the dates of XXXX 2017 and XXXX 2018 this item was sold at a price of XX GBP. It was a good practice in my opinion. It is, though there are ways around it. I've heard rumors that DFS operate a catalog which essentially has every sofa in there twice, under a different name. They alternate which name is on sale and which one isn't and update the labels on the shop floor accordingly. Of course, you could order the exact same sofa using the different name through the catalog if you knew the catalog existed, which it apparently does, and there is a copy kept in store. But who would do that? God damn it, DFS, yet another reason I refuse to enter a store. Those damn Christmas ads are bad enough. Black Friday in nutshell. They usually start raising prices in late summer. Black Friday gets a lot of undeserved hate, in my opinion. If you get there early enough, you will walk out with that $200 TV, although the quality isn't going to be the same as the $2,000 TV, but you're bargain shopping. Plus JCP, totally not a plug, I'm not affiliated, always has a super awesome deal on their towels that I adore, generally $4 to $5. Kohl's has amazing sheet and blanket sales. A few years ago, all I had was basic furniture. After that Black Friday, I was able to put a TV in every bedroom and fully stock my kitchen with actual plates and silverware and Tupperware for less than $1,000. Ninja edit. Granted, it took me literally waiting in line from around 3 p.m. Thanksgiving Day and I didn't return home until around noon the next day. The real issue with Black Friday is for just about everything now they have specific Black Friday models that are of lower quality but they don't actually change the model on the box. So you think it's the same product, but it really isn't. The theory is most people won't return the $200 TV if it craps out in 2 years because they got it on a great deal and it was only $200. I never recommend people buying electronics on Black Friday. Stick to things where they can't lower the quality without it being obvious on the outside. Which frankly, is very little. If you were buying cheap silverware on Black Friday, I'd be willing to bet $20 that the silverware you buy is of a lower quality than what they normally stock. Of course, if you are fine with that, then go for it. Just realize you probably aren't getting a great deal on a quality item. You are getting the stuff from the dollar store. Don't hand over your keys. If you are buying a car with a trade-in and give your keys to the salesman for whatever reason, and you change your mind, they'll say they can't find the keys, they threw mine on the roof. The point is to keep you waiting so they can pitch to you longer. Threaten to call the cops if they don't return your keys in 5 minutes. If they don't call a tow truck company and have your car hauled to a competitor's lot, explain to them they couldn't find the keys. Tow truck company will bill them, competitor will also bill them. Make sure tow truck company does not work for them. Make sure tow truck company does not work for them. This is important in any scenario where you're involuntarily towed. I used to live in a big city, and plenty of business paid a local towing company under the table to prowl their lots, hide the no parking signs, etc. Then, the tow company splits the profit with someone at the business. I got illegally towed once, and their scheme was damn good, but I found a loophole to where they gave me my car back for free. Fortunately, the impound lot wasn't far away. If you live in an area where parking is almost non-existent, it's a really good idea to know local towing laws. This got so bad in DC that they actually made it illegal to tow a car that doesn't have a city-issued ticket on the windshield. Which actually makes it pretty hard to get towed for parking illegally in a private lot. Make sure tow truck company does not work for them. Somewhat related, but if you're in a car accident near a major urban center, within minutes there will be multiple tow trucks showing up at the accident site. They listen to police scanners and will head to whatever accident they can. Once they get there, many won't even ask. They'll immediately start hooking up your vehicle, claiming that they have to get it off the road immediately for some legal reason. Then they will tow it to whatever repair shop or dealership they work with. This is where shit gets sketchy. Depending on your insurance, you may not be covered at certain places and you may end up on the hook for any bills. These assholes prey on people that are flustered and confused right after they've been in a car accident. If you get into an accident, make sure everyone is safe. Once you steady yourself, trade info with the other driver. Then call your insurance company, answer their questions, and find out where they want the car towed to and with which tow company. Then call the tow company and wait for them. Don't let anyone else hook up your car in the meantime. Have them tow it to the repair shop, then go afterwards, via a friend or cab, to the cop shop and write up a report if needed. It generally is. Definitely get one if the other driver was at fault. If any dealership does this, it's a dealer you should not be buying from. Most cars have 2 sets of keys, The other key is in your pocket while the scammy dealer holds onto the other. Any dealer that does this to me will be outed on social media and to friends and family and everyone I know in the worst way possible. Just to add on to the car dealership scams. Check the amounts on paperwork, they add it up wrong, calculate tax wrong and throw in bullshit charges, but always errors in their favor. Also, do not sign anything or give your info and ask about any papers that ask you to waive any jury rights, etc. Ask if you must sign them and if not write N.A. next to it. Make sure they completely fill out any paperwork you sign and provide you with copies. They threw them on the roof? Seriously? That is beyond messed up. Wish I'd known this 12 years ago when I got my keys held hostage for hours and hours until I broke down and literally bought a car I couldn't afford, at a payment higher than agreed so I could go home. Young, naive, exhausted. Good advice. Interesting. I did this once. Handed over the keys and then they had to disclose the car I was buying was involved in a recall. They just made it super awkward and drawn out, but they didn't pull this, "We can't find your keys" crap. Glad I know this now. Sometimes it's best to handle each transaction, the buy and sell, separately, even though there may be a tax savings, by negotiating the trade-in value of a car based on the purchase price of the new, used car, thus effectively lowering the purchase price and your sales tax. In Chicago, this can have a real impact. Perhaps I'm paranoid of shady business shit, but if I'm trading a car and those keys aren't going anywhere till the deal is signed and the new car's keys are in my hand. Especially with cars where they have a well-earned reputation on these kind of things. Heck, I once had someone raise the price by $1,000 on a used piece of shit after we already agreed to a deal and paperwork was being printed because, oh, management won't let me do that, walked out of there, as well as any other place that required financing to purchase a used car. Sudden new manager. Hiring above. You have a stable, good job. No indication that you're doing a bad job. Then suddenly you get a new manager just above you. A few weeks later they just give you a warning for something super minor, whatever they can get, and then fire you shortly after. My company has done this to several high-level employees lately. This happened to my sister recently. Luckily she started looking for a new one as soon as they gave her the warning and was able to leave on her own terms. I'm leaving a job I really enjoy for this exact reason on April 20th. New boss came in and gave me a written warning for something trivial that happened before she was hired. It's sad to leave, but I can't work for people like that. I left on my own terms too. Had a bunch of money saved up and didn't show up to work the next day. From what my old coworkers told me, he had one hell of a month trying to replace me. I took a year off and enjoyed life. I got a warning at my job for something stupid, so I started looking for new work thinking I was about to be forced out. It happens often enough that it was on my mind anyway, and the warning was the proverbial canary in the coal mine. Handed in my notice 2 months later after several weeks of pleasant work. Turns out my boss was pregnant, probably had morning sickness when I got my warning, and now they're scrambling to find a way to cover 2 positions because my departure coincides with her expected maternity leave. I feel like such an ass. This happened to my mother-in-law. She's a little older, roughly 14 years from retirement. They garner to early 30s aged women's clothing. She was amazing at her job and they began restructuring either the company or that store. She had roughly 15 to 20 years with them across 3 stores as an assistant manager and a few years as a lead at a sister company. They began the restructure and hired a new manager for the place, instead of promoting her, who was younger, likely fresh out of college with less than 5 years in sales. She began getting harassed by the new manager with the usual, "We need you to do this, we need you to do more of that," above and beyond the 60+ hours a week she was working. As this was happening, many of the middle-aged and older women working there had been pushed out of the job by cutting hours and giving them to new employees, under 30. TLDR, older Mill got harassed out of her position that should have been rightfully hers by someone who had way less experience than her. Other middle-aged employees pushed out by cut hours given to new employees who were younger by at least a decade. It's how corporate America, etc., works. Infuriating. Unless the store is grossly inefficient or doing poorly, you don't remove their management. This almost happened to me. I worked at a retail store. The manager who hired me came from a lofty corporate job at another chain and had never been on the floor in a retail environment before. She was extremely overwhelmed and quit due to stress, so they brought in the manager from another location in the area and hired a new one there. This new manager was a bitter, old woman who hated men. There were only 3 guys working there. The rest were retired women who either wanted something to do, or their husbands died and they couldn't afford to be retired anymore. Within 2 months, the most recently hired guy was fired for something extremely minor, the longest employed guy was pushed to quit, and then they started disregarding my college schedule on purpose to vibe me out. It was literally taped to the wall in the manager's office, but I'd be sitting in class and would get a phone call, "Hey, where y'all at?" I ended up quitting, no 2 weeks notice because they would have just fired me anyway. It's really difficult not to just hate anyone with the title of manager. They got more insidious as you went up the ladder. Our regional was possibly an actual demon. However, the corporate suits who'd visit once or twice a year were amazing. I'd happily work for them if I could afford to move to Texas. Myself and a coworker were applying for the open sales manager position. They end up hiring a friend of the newly appointed NBD manager's subordinate. I had already told her that I'm hitting a glass ceiling and will look for another position if they show no other opportunities for me. Soon after the new manager takes position, I am being written up for things that happened 3 months ago under the old NBD manager, and then a write-up for not saying hello to a coworker. So after I was passed up for the promotion, I got written up 3 times inside of 2 weeks. Shady as frick. I had a new manager try to do a performance review on me for the past 4 years that he wasn't even there. He had started 2 months prior. I had made a massive list of all the great things I had done for the company, and how much praise I got from senior management. His plans were foiled. This happened to me 2 months ago. I have a family to take care of as well. That's what made me so furious about it. I was written up for including someone on a mass email who had not been with the company for 2 weeks, but his departure was never announced. I was told I lacked the attention to detail my position required and I needed to find a new job. I knew this job was going downhill 9 months ago post-merger with a much larger organization, but I had no idea how badly it was affecting my mental health until I realized I had not picked up my musical instrument or art tools for over a year. I was lucky enough to identify my depression after my first panic attack in early January and have been on antidepressants ever since. Things are much better now. I start a new job in a week, my first 6-figure job ever, that utilizes my best skills and puts my family in a much better place. I'm just looking at taking a major vacation, my first in 4 years. Started dating again, as I don't have to work as much. Bought a new car. This job has been very lucrative for me, that eclipses every other car in the lot. In many ways, it's letting me focus on things that actually matter. 4 years of pain and suffering lead me to a more relaxing time where some asshole can take the responsibility without the benefit I get. The air filter was very dirty. No, it wasn't. A lot of express garages like the ones that do oil, brakes, and like will often have a bunch of shitty old air filters, and while you're waiting for your oil change they'll bring one out and show you your cabin air filter and ask if you want to swap it out. These air filters are like $7 online and they'll try and charge you $35 bucks. I always mark my air filters with a Sharpie so I know they're the ones for my vehicle. I've caught this 3 times. Generally, cabin air filters are behind your glove box if you want to take a look at yours. As a car-savvy female, I get my jollies when auto shops try to scam me. The cabin air filter one is so incredibly common. Just last month, a tech tried to pull that on me. However, the filter he brought in was not even the correct shape for my car. I listened earnestly to the tech's entire pitch and then said, "Why don't you check my car's filter instead of bringing in the dirtiest one you have lying around the shop?" He earnestly insisted that it was mine until I cut him off and said, "That filter is square. My car's filter is long and slender." He just slouched and walked away defeated. I honestly don't know why you stayed there. I would have reversed out of there, left them a 1-star Yelp and Google review, and told all my friends. A business relationship that starts with attempted fraud is only going to go downhill from there. I had a mechanic try to tell me that all of the hoses should be replaced because it was an older model truck. We went to look at the hoses together, and most of them were so new the tags weren't even dirty. I insisted on a deep discount on his labor in exchange for my promise not to report him for predatory practices. Canadian here, with automotive background, I just had my oil changed at one of those places last week. They tried to sell me a new cabin filter for $44. $44. From the looks of this filter, I'd say it's never even been changed before, the guy said. He said that because the filter was not white, but gray. My car has 271,000 kilometers on it, and for the first 250,000 of those, it was regularly serviced at a dealership. The filter was changed many times. I quickly pulled up the eBay results for the cabin filters that fit my car. Wouldn't you know it? Most of them are gray. And most of them were under $10 Canadian dollars. For anyone reading this, please do your research before spending $30 minus $50 on something like this. Now, to be fair, if a shop pays $10 for that filter, there is a markup involved because a shop is a business. I'm not saying 400% is okay at all, but expect a 150% on parts. Totally cool with that. I am in a similar business now, and most parts get marked up to almost double what we pay. And I probably would have purchased a filter from the guy if it were $20, and if I needed one, quadruple isn't a business practice I can support. When he told me the price, it just blew me away. Especially after I had just spent $88 on my synthetic oil change. That includes my $10 off coupon that I used. Jiffy Lube told me I had 3 tail light bulbs out, so I said okay, I'll switch them myself later. They were like, oh, but the cops might pull you over. I said whatever, I'll risk it. I got home and took a taillight assembly apart and found out all 4 on the left were lighting up fine. Then I realized I could see all 4 on the other side were fine too, and I didn't even need to take it apart to be able to tell. Jiffy Lube always gets brought up, but most of the workers couldn't care about upselling. At least they never push it on me. I'm pretty sure they're required to check your air filter and ask though. Quick, nah. And they just go pop it back in and finish your oil change or whatever. Not to say there aren't a grip of shady Jiffy Lube employees. They did this to me as well. I went by myself, and being an 18-year-old girl with a second-hand car, they assumed I'd know nothing about it. They tried to sell me an air filter exactly how you described, tried to tell me I need an alignment, and also said that my battery didn't look so great and I might need a new one. Funniest part, one drove a 2005 Buick LeSabre. My battery was not under the hood. It was, in fact, under the back seat, and they assumed I wouldn't know that. I had taken my cabin filter out while doing some hunting behind the dash on the Jeep. I noticed it was dirty and left it out thinking to replace it. I forgot, and a while later, my Jeep was at Jiffy Lube for an oil change. The guy brought me my dirty cabin filter as evidence that I should buy a new one. I actually did want to buy one, and this reminded me of that fact. If he had said, "Hey man, we noticed no cabin filter. Want one?" I would have ponied up the $30 in a heartbeat and been happy. But the audacity to flat lie just turned the entire encounter into a go frick yourself show that I've never been back to a JL for any service. Credit card needed for free trial. Saving your card details and forcing auto renewal of a service unless you go through the purposely unintuitive and difficult process of canceling. I started using privacy.com to combat this. You can generate burner credit cards with defined limits so you don't have to remember to cancel free trials. Wait, what? Can you explain burner credit cards more? I know my Citi card has this feature. It lets you generate a disposable credit card number online which you can use as often, or not, as you'd like. Don't want it used anymore? Delete. It's amazing. It includes an account number, expiration date, and CVV code. Then the charge just goes on your normal account, but the vendor will have no idea what the real account number is because it's masked behind the dummy number. I will no longer donate anything that has to go through the ActBlue website. I did a one-time donation to a political campaign, and with no further email or other alert to me, every week thereafter they hit the same card for the same amount. It was linked to a bank account that only had a few $100s in it, and one that I didn't use very often, so over a period of just a few weeks they emptied it out entirely. When I found out and complained to them that they had stolen my money, and I showed the email that indicated it was a one-time donation, what I got back was a great big thank you for all the money I gave, and how good ActBlue is. No acknowledgement of the crime. It wasn't enough to bother going after, but it shows how absolutely slimy such efforts can be. Sounds like decent grounds for a class action suit. IANAL. You should post over at our legal advice and see. It'd be minimal effort on your part, unless I'm drastically misunderstanding the process. Again, I am not a lawyer, and could lead to reparations for people who can't afford to write off hundreds of dollars. You don't have to sue. Just go to the bank and they can pull all the money back. Had Virgin Media try and charge me for internet on a property I'd moved out of and knew the people in there now had set up their own account. I only noticed after a year because I was living in a different country, so wasn't checking my UK account. On my next trip back, I stopped in my back, told them which date to claim back from, and put a block on all payments to them in future. Adobe does this. They auto-renew for 12 months. My email address worked and I received mails from them, but the reminders never arrived, nor were they in junk. Try to cancel and they will offer you a couple of free months to keep you, with the alternative being to pay for the remaining months. Not only that, you can only cancel auto-renew in the 11th month. You can't sign up and then say, cancel auto-renew. I just got screwed by this a few hours ago. I never bought annual billing with Adobe stock. It was always month to month. I spent an hour chatting to them and they just gave me shit the entire time. I just recently canceled my subscription to, we'll say, a photography website. Well, I've been used to websites like these managing subscriptions through Epic, where you can just enter in your membership information and cancel directly. Instead, this site led me to a customer service link where I had to request my cancellation. Weird, but whatever. I had a couple days before it was set to renew. I messaged their customer service and told them to cancel my subscription ASAP. Now, this is partially on me for not really following up, but I saw an email offering me a discounted rate for a subscription renewal. I wasn't interested, so I ignored it. As soon as I saw the charge that it renewed, I messaged their customer service demanding to know why my cancellation was not furnished, and that I would be filing a dispute through PayPal. Their response: we sent you a better offer. In our experience, most people take that. Worth noting that what they billed me was the full amount, not the discounted offer. Got it refunded, but left a bad taste for sure. A website I signed up for told me I could either pay X for 1 month, Y for 3 months, or Z for a year of unlimited access. I chose 3 months and paid Y. 3 months later, my subscription is still valid. Strange. Didn't question it. Then 3 more months and I see a random charge on my credit card that was equivalent to Y. I paid via PayPal and I guess it showed up late in my bank statement. The name was something obscure, so I thought it was a scam. Turns out they just renewed my subscription for me. Frick them. That's actually pretty normal. 3 months doesn't mean only for 3 months, it means in 3-month increments, but you still need to cancel when you're done. I prefer to cancel renewals right off the bat. Use PayPal and go into the recurring charges list to cancel future charges once you've confirmed the initial charge has processed. Then you don't have to remember to cancel at a future date that you are almost certain to forget. I just set an alarm on my Google Calendar a couple days before the cancellation. Wanted to cancel my sub to The Economist. The part of the website to do so was broken and I had to contact them by email. I got a robot email saying I would be answered within 48 hours. This was months ago and have not yet received an answer. My third and last email clearly stated that I would refuse any and all charges by them. They have not answered to that either, but they did send me a letter with a reminder that my subscription would end soon and encouraging me to subscribe again. I was very disappointed with an organization I otherwise quite respect for the quality of their material. There's another side to this. I work for a business-to-business enterprise software company, and you'd be shocked by how much of this we see. 90 days out, good afternoon so-and-so, just want to let you know we're coming up on time to renew your contract. Here's your quote. 60 days out, good afternoon so-and-so, I haven't heard back from you yet. Did you have any questions on your renewal quote? 45 days out, good afternoon so-and-so, your renewal date is approaching quickly and I haven't heard anything. Please let me know if you have any questions. If I haven't heard anything in the next 2 weeks, we're going to go ahead and auto-renew invoice you for the 1-year rate to prevent a disruption in service. 30 days out, auto-renew an invoice 5 months later, invoice goes 90 days late, how dare you invoice us? Refund the invoice immediately, we don't even use the software anymore. I sent you multiple renewal notices. All you had to do was send us an email saying you were canceling, but you didn't. You owe the invoice. This is filthy business practice. Grumble, 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 we're not paying. Cool. You'll hear from our legal team as you're in breach of contract. Have a wonderful day. We have to hold customers to commitments or we can't forecast revenue accurately, which causes all sorts of problems, understaffed support, engineering teams, inability to plan investments, etc. Just send the damn cancellation notice and we'll get it taken care of. Also, read the contract you signed. Or just cancel their service when they don't respond back. Don't be a dick and waste their time then charge their ass anyways. Nice. You have made it to the end already. Thank you for watching. If you aren't already subscribed, please do so, as there will be more videos like this in the near future.